Get a room or a cage. Oh, we're having a baby. So cute. Hey there, and welcome to the Totally Fierce Crochet channel. My name's Thomas, and welcome to a very special tutorial about how to make these super extra cute, super fluffy, super loopy granny square baby chicken. Now, I always knew I wanted to make another granny square chicken tutorial, and somehow I had the idea of making a baby granny square chicken, but then I was like, how can I make it extra special and extra cute? So yes, those are two granny squares put together as a granny square chicken, just like we had it here. And you can probably see the resemblance, the mom, the baby. Although it might look a little bit complicated, it's actually super easy to make this super cute baby granny square chicken. It's basically one stitch in two granny squares. The loop stitch, I'm probably the first one ever to make a granny square with the loop stitch, but so what? I had so much fun creating this little cutie, especially for you for Easter this year. And you get this super fun and cute little baby chicken. And babies do look a little bit weird, so it's absolutely fine if this looks a little bit weird. And it even has some weird little chicken feet in the bottom. So overall, cuteness overload, and I can't wait to show you how to make one of those. And I'm sure it's going to be the highlight of your Easter basket or Easter table, so have fun with it. So are you ready to get your baby peeps on? Let's go! So let's make a little baby chicken, just like the one that I have here. We are going to start with the main part, the loop stitch part. Then we will make the beak, which is a little bit different for the baby chicken compared to my previous granny square chickens. And as a special feature, we are going to make those super cute and fun chicken legs or chicken feet. I mean, they are absolutely optional. It's completely up to you if you want to make them or not. But I think these legs make it even cuter and funnier than it is already. I always laugh when I see it. So here's what you need. First up, the yarn. I'm going to use cotton yarn 8/8 quality from Hobbii, of course, my favorite cotton brand. And they say you would need a 4 to 4.5 millimeter hook. I'm going to use the bright yellow for the main part, and then this orange for the beak and the pink for the legs. Of course, feel free to use a different color. Usually baby chicken don't have like pink feet, but I thought the pink would look quite cute. For the hook, I'm going to use a 4 millimeter hook. Then you would, of course, need some safety eyes. I got these from Amazon, and I think they have just the perfect size to use. They are about 2 centimeters or 20 millimeters, but feel free to use smaller ones or crochet them. Do it as you want to. I'm going to use those. Then, of course, some filling to fill up that baby chicken. And, of course, a yarn needle to sew in the yarn ends. And, of course, the scissors. And you're basically good to go. So we start with the main part, the loop stitch granny square. I think no one has ever done a granny square with the loop stitch. And although it does look a bit complicated or difficult, it's actually quite easy. So we are going to start with a magic ring. And I do it like I always do it. I do as if I would do a slip knot. Then I hold the Then I hold the knot like this with my finger without closing it. Then I take my end yarn and just pull it through that hole, and now I close my slip knot, place my hook in there, fasten it, and here we go. The magic ring is done. Just like this. And now we can also crochet over our end yarn, and we start with a single crochet, because basically all of the stitches, or almost all of the stitches for the loop stitch granny square are with single crochets. Then we chain 2 as a corner. Every corner is a chain 2. Then we make our next single crochet all in the magic ring. Then again chain 2. Then the next single crochet, go into the ring, pull the yarn through, yarn over, and pull through, chain 2 again, and then we make our last single crochet for this very first round, like this. We can now also close the ring a little bit, and now to finish this round, we are going to finish it like we would do it for a regular granny square, with a half double crochet in the top of our first stitch. So you yarn over, go into the top of the first stitch under both of the loops, yarn over and pull through 3 loops, yarn over and pull through all 3 of those loops to finish our first round. And the reason why I do it like this is that it keeps the loop in the center of our corner, so we can always work from the corner, and you won't get any seams, or you won't have any problems starting the next round. So this is why I do it like this. I won't close the magic ring completely just yet. I usually wait a few rounds to do it, because this makes it a little bit easier for the upcoming stitches. And we are good to go to start with round number 2. And for round number 2, we start with a single crochet in our corner space right here. So you put your hook in, grab the yarn, pull it through, and yarn over and pull through 2 loops. So whenever we're at a corner, the stitches we make in the corner spaces are always regular single crochets. Mainly because when we would do a loop stitch right in the corner, it will always turn out a bit wobbly, and the loop itself won't be fixed 100%, which is why I decided not to do a loop stitch in the corner. Now we go in the top of our first single crochet from the previous round, and we go in there just as we would do a single crochet, and then we take the yarn over your finger. You take the yarn over your finger like this, and now you grab with your hook the yarn from the back. I hope you can see it, and lay the other one on top of it. And now we are going to pull both of those loops through, just like that. So now you have 2 loops right here, and you still have the loop from your finger. And now you can fasten off or tighten off the loop. You can, if you want to, use your finger as a measurement to how big your loop is, or you just leave a little loop like this as our first loop, and then yarn over and pull through all of the loops on your hook, and then you have your first loop created. Then we are at the next corner. As I mentioned before, it's just regular single crochet. So we go into the corner space and make a single crochet. Then we chain 2, as we do for all of the corners. And then we make the next single crochet in the same corner space, before we then arrive at the next single crochet from the previous round, and here we do our next loop stitch in. So you put your hook into the next stitch under both of the loops, then move your hook around, grab the yarn from the back, and pull both of those loops through the stitch, and then either take your finger as a measurement or just pull gently on the yarn and yarn over, and you have your next loop. Then we're at the next corner again, single crochet, chain 2, single crochet. Then we are at the next loop stitch, so you go in, hold the yarn with your finger, take the hook, move it all the way to the back loop, and pull this behind loop and the loop in front through the stitch, and then just drag it through until you have the length that you want, and finish the stitch. Then we are at the next corner, single crochet, chain 2, single crochet, and here we go, the next loop stitch. Go into the stitch, grab the yarn from the back, pull both of the loops through, release it, and just drag it until you have the length that you want. It doesn't really matter if one of them is longer than the other ones, it's all good. And we are already at our last corner. We already started with a single crochet, so we end with a single crochet in the same corner space, and then again we finished the round with a half double crochet in the top of our first single crochet. So yarn over, go into the top of the first stitch, pull the yarn through, yarn over, and pull through all of the loops. Now if you want to close the magic ring, and you get your first 4 loop stitches right here. Of course, with 4 of them, it doesn't it looks a bit silly, but the more rounds we make, the more fuzzy it will look like. So I will make one more round with you, and again we're at the corner. We go back into the corner space, grab the yarn, pull it through, yarn over, and single crochet. Now we basically have 3 loop stitches after each other, so we always increase each round by 2 stitches on the left and on the right. So here, so in the previous round we had 3 stitches, now we get 5, and always the ones in the middle minus the ones at on the sides are then the loop stitches. So we go into the next stitch and make our next loop stitch right in there, and release it and bring it to the length that you need, and finish the stitch like a single crochet. Then in the next loop stitch, and another, and here we go, the next corner, single crochet, chain 2, single crochet, all in the corner space, and then we can do our next loop stitches, and the next corner, single crochet, chain 2, single crochet, and 3 more loop stitches. And the next corner, single crochet, chain 2, single crochet, and here we go, 3 more loop stitches. And now we're at the last corner, so again we end with a single crochet and then yarn over and make a half double crochet into the top of your first single crochet. And just like that, this was round number 3, and it starts to get very loopy. Always in the center, and we just continue. In the end, we have 9 rounds, and I will let you go until you reach the end of round number 8, because for round number 9, the final round, we are going to make something a little bit different, but there's still a few loop stitches to go until then, so we better continue with round number 4, and it starts the same way with a single crochet, and then now we have 5 loop stitches after each other, and then we continue, and I'll meet you once you have finished round number 8. See you then. Have fun. Stay in the loop. So here's how it looks after round 8, basically. And the inside is pretty much all flat, all single crochets, basically. And here we have our loop side. You can always drag a little bit on some of those loops to bring them out a bit more if you want to. But overall, I think this looks just fine. So now we make our last loop round, and the beginning is the same. The only difference compared to the other rounds is our corners, because we skipped the chain 2 and just have 2 single crochets in the corner. So first I have to make the next side of loop stitches, and for the 9th round we are going to have 17 loop stitches there. So I'll meet you when I'm at the corner. And now I'm at the corner, so we make 2 single crochets all in that corner, and then continue with the next side full of loop stitches. And the reason is that I'm just going to shape it in a more round way in the end, which is then basically also here our top part, and like everywhere where we have like the corner. And like this we continue, so whenever we reach a corner from in our square, we make 2 single crochets, no chains in between, right until we are at the very end. And this is where I'll meet you. And I'm at the end, and my last stitch is, of course, a single crochet, just like this. Now you take out the loop, turn your work, go into the top of the first stitch of this 9th round, pull the loop over your hook and pull it through and close everything. And now we are going right in this corner space here. Grab the loop and pull it through, because now we are going to make a border with slip stitches all around, because this extra space right here, which was always like the end of our loop stitch, we don't need it. Later on we are going to push that to the inside. It will make sense once you see it. And we always go basically right where our loop is. We go in there, grab the yarn, pull it through and slip stitch, and then into the next, grab the yarn, pull it through and slip stitch. You can also, just like I did it, take the loop and push it a bit to the front with your finger, just so that when it is too much in the way, you can then push it down a little bit. But usually you can get those spaces and those stitches quite easily. And like that, we just go along. In the next step, when we then crochet the 2 squares together, this round of slip stitches is going to be like where we connect them. So it's good to have it and to also be able to see clearly where the stitches are, because otherwise it would be a bit more complicated. So this is just an extra round to make our life easier, or the chicken's life easier, basically. And we just go along stitch by stitch until we reach the end. And this is where I'll meet you. And this was it. I just go back for that last slip stitch into my corner space. Then we can cut the yarn, pull it through, and then we take the yarn needle. We don't have to sew that in, but I will just go like in this very first slip stitch that we had and just pull it in so that it is on the inside. And the same I will do with my beginning yarn end from the magic circle, and I will just pull that through. And like that, our front part is done, our fuzzy chicken part. Now, of course, we would need a second one. And once you have that, we can continue by crocheting the 2 together, and also adding the eyes, adding the beak, and making the feet. So now we are good to go to sew the 2 squares together, and for that we are going to place them on top of each other, and then we take our yarn. We start with a slip knot like this, and now we do it like I always do it. We go from one square to the other square, always with those inner loops. And we are only going to work in that slip stitch round that we had before, and we start by pulling our hook into the corner slip stitch right here, and the same we do on the other side. Then we make sure that we have our yarn in the center, in between the two squares, like that, and then we yarn over and connect the first stitch right here, and from there we go stitch by stitch until we have 3 sides connected. So always take the next inner loops, yarn over, and go through the loops loop by loop. Basically, that's easier than trying to get them all at once. And the next one like this. And I think it's clear. We just go along, and like that we can also then push that outer part that I mentioned before we don't really need to the inside. Also make sure to like drag a little bit to push the two together, and here you can already see we create a beautiful seam for our connection. And I'll let you to it. We connect 3 sides and leave one open so that we can then continue with the beak and the legs and the eyes before filling it up and then closing it. And I'll meet you once I have 3 sides connected. So, see you then. And here we go. This was the last one. And then we can cut the yarn and pull it through. And now we have the 3 sides connected. All the yarn ends that are falling out, you can easily put them to the inside. And now you can also, if you want to, drag a little bit on the loops to bring them out a little bit more if you want to, but this is absolutely optional. It's just if you want to make it a little bit more fluffy, this is how you can then bring that out. And now we can continue by adding the final elements for our chicken. And let's start with the safety eyes. So now make sure that in the end we are going to put those, or in the end we are going to close the chicken baby right here. So you want to place your safety eyes somewhere here. And I mean, we do have this seam from the granny square, so you can always try to put the eye right there to see how it would look like if the position is working well. So then the beak would be here. I think this is quite a nice position. You can also then take the other side. Let's say we push it down a little bit, just so that we can see which one works best, but I think now they are at the same spot basically. Or place them closer to the front. So in the end you have like a little eye here, but I think then on the side it looks a bit weird. So I will keep it right here. This is like 1, 2, 3 in the fourth hole from the top. 1, 2, 3, 4. So let's go in here, and I will also try to push the loops a little bit out of the way. And then usually you have those stoppers that you can then just simply put to it to hold it in there. So this was the first one. Here's the last, or the second. And here we go. The safety eyes are in. I think it already looks like a baby chicken, if you ask me. And up next, we are going to make the beak. And for the beak, we take our orange yarn. We start with a slip knot. And for this baby chicken, the beak will be a little bit different than the one that we had for my other granny square chickens. Mainly because it's open. So in the end we are going to place the beak over a few stitches. And what I also did, I mean, here you can see it, it's like almost in the middle of our side piece where we started it. So I am just going to go somewhere here, maybe like almost in the middle, or maybe one up, somewhere here. And I'm going in, and I will take this front loop and one from the center. And first I will just attach my yarn with a slip stitch. And from there I will go into the next stitch, again one from the side and one from the middle. And then I'm going to start with a single crochet, and I will also put my yarn end over it. So now I have the single crochet. After that I make a double crochet into the same stitch, and then I will make a treble crochet in the stitch in the center, because this will be the top of our beak. So we make a treble, so we can go up here. But maybe if some of you don't really know what a treble is, I think a double crochet you already know. I'm going to show it later on. So for the treble you yarn over twice, then you go in the next stitch, grab the yarn, pull it through. You now have 4 loops on the hook. Yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, and yarn over, pull through 2 to create like this peak up here. And then we are going to turn our work, because now we are going backwards, and to do that we first chain 1, and then we go from the other side. So you yarn over for the next double crochet, grab the front loop here and grab the remaining loop from the center and make a double crochet. So yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. Then in the same stitch we go down and make a single crochet, and then in the next stitch only, and then in the next stitch, the one from the front and the one in the center, we make a slip stitch just like we had it. Now here was the yarn that flipped, so I'm going to make the single crochet again, like that, and then we have our slip stitch in the next stitch, and then we continue along again in the next stitch. Under both of those loops we start with a single crochet. After that we make a double crochet, so yarn over, go into the same stitch, pull the yarn through 3 loops, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, and then we go in the center with a treble crochet, so yarn over twice, go into that stitch, pull it through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, and yarn over, pull through 2, then chain 1, turn, yarn over, and go into the next stitch. I know this will be a little bit tight now, but slowly, and then we make a double crochet, and after that in the same stitch a single crochet, and then I chain 1 and cut the yarn and pull the yarn through, because this will we will just push to the inside to finish our beak, and the same with the yarn end. So we are going to take the yarn end first, and then we are just taking it at the top of our beak and pull it in. If you lose it, just grab it and pull it close or pull it tight. And here's our last piece, and we will just put it in the inside of our beak right here. And here we go. The little beak is done. It looks also funny from the front. And again, if you destroyed some of the loops, you can always put them out again. And as if I would like get rid of all the feathers of the chicken. And here we go. So what you can do is to like flip it over, and just to be sure, make a knot so that it is really secure, our beak, and then pull it out again. Now it also looks like this bowl fish. I have no idea. In German we would say a Kugelfisch. And here we go. Up next, the final thing to do are our chicken legs. And they are quite easy. So we start with a slip knot. And then we chain 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Remember that fourth chain element. Then we chain 3. And then we just go back, like in the second stitch from the hook. I only take like the back loop of it, and slip stitch, and in the next slip stitch, and in our fourth loop from the beginning we slip stitch as well. Then we chain 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then again we go back into the second back loop and slip stitch 1, 2, 3, 4, and back again into our fourth slip stitch from the beginning. Then again we chain 3. 1, 2, and 3. And then we go back in the second stitch from the hook, slip stitch, and another slip stitch, and our last slip stitch goes back into the fourth stitch. And then we have 3 stitches left, and we just make 3 slip stitches along. And then one last time, yarn over, pull it through, and you can already cut the yarn and pull it through, because like that the chicken leg is done. I know, I think it should be 4 of those, but oh well. It doesn't have to be 100% anatomically correct. And of course now we have to make a second one. And here we go. Our next chicken leg is right here. And now we can connect it. As you can see, I connected it somewhere in the middle, not in the seam, but like once in between our first two rows of loops. And I just place my yarn needle right here, and then I will pull one of the loops and pull it to the inside. And then I'm going to like go 1 stitch lower and add my yarn end, pull it through. And now all I have to do is to take those 2 yarn ends to the inside and just flip it over and make a double knot in there to hold it. That should be enough. You don't have to do anything with the yarn ends. We can hide them later on the inside. Make sure that you like push the loops out a little bit if you have put them down, and we do the same thing on the other side. Make a double knot on the inside. and the legs are connected. I think it's so funny with the legs. And now we can throw all the yarn ends back in. We don't have to sew anything of any of those. And what I do is that I leave the side loops where we then crochet the two together on the sides, because we might need them. And now it's time for the filling. So make sure to prepare it. And we are just going to fill our chicken up as much as we might need. And always check a little bit when you then push those sides together if you might still need some filling. Here you can see there's nothing there, so I'm going to add a little bit here and a little bit on the other side. I mean, this baby chicken really should be like filled up nicely. Where's our beak? Here it is. And once you have that, you can take the two yarn ends and just start by closing it with a double knot, maybe even triple knot, because this is always like a bit tight. And then we can also take our yarn end and hide it on the inside, because the very last thing that we have to do is to sew in or sew this lower part together. Now this is like a very fun perspective looking at this right here. The chicken is flying. So we take our yarn, start with a slip knot, and without counting the stitches, I usually go just somewhere in the middle. And again, we are only going to work on the inner loops. And first up, I'm just going to connect it right here. And then from there, we go like we did it before, one stitch in from the front and one stitch from the side. Make sure that your yarn is in the center, and then yarn over, pull through each stitch along, and we go into the next, and on the other side. And so on. And when you reach the middle, you just make a slip stitch and then continue on the other side. It's a bit hard to see those stitches. And it also gets super tight, just to warn you. So if you feel like this is too tight, you can just sew it or close it with simple sewing if you don't want to do it with crochet. But I really like to keep things consistent, so I am doing it like this. And to be honest, those are just a very few stitches. You made so many loops, then I think this should be no issue. Just all the way. Until you can barely not grab those stitches. Here's one. Can't get it. Where is it? Right here. Underneath. Now I have it. And there's one left somewhere here. So I will go in there and just pull it through. Oof. And then cut the yarn. This was all that was left from this one skein of yellow, and I will just yarn over and pull it through. And the only thing left now is to just hide this last piece on the inside of our chicken. You can go along. Now I'm here, that's all right. And the end piece I will just cut, because with that our fuzzy loopy chicken is done. Again, make sure to bring all those loops out a little bit more by just fuzzing it out a little bit. It always helps to make it even more cute. And just like that, the little chicken is done. Here we go. You can also drag the beak out a little bit. And here we go. Our little baby chick now has a brother or a sister. Now I have the two. Did I promise too much? It's really super easy to make this extra cute granny square baby chicken or baby granny square chicken. And this will definitely be the highlight of your Easter basket or Easter table. I'm absolutely obsessed with this little cutie right here. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you will have fun crocheting this super cute baby granny square chicken. Of course, you can always still do the mom and the dad, or Mariah Chicky, the Christmas chicken. Just have fun. Easter is coming soon, and this is the perfect decoration. And the cutest, of course. Either way, have fun, enjoy making this granny square baby chicken, and I hope to see you back again next time, only at the Totally Fierce Crochet channel. Happy crocheting! Bye! And greetings from the German countryside. Doesn't it look super awesome? Bye! The baby says bye too. Wow, this weather is so crazy. Last week I posted the video where it was like all snowy and icy, and today, I mean, look at this. I mean, it looks like spring, and my little granny square baby chicken is right with me. Now we are probably going to be run over by some farming machines, but oh what, so that's the country life with my country chicken. No, I'm going home. But look how beautiful it is. Sorry, I'm just being silly. The baby chick made me do it. Bye.